Don't forget to subscribe!
Hey everyone, it's Princess Natalie from Team Pikachu and the Lifelights, and this is a video on how I do character voices for Gabe Nwabala's Fandub and the Lifelights spin-off of Gabe's fanfiction.net story. So, I will explain starting with Mavis through Kimi Toto. I am going to explain what type of voice I try to use for the characters because it would just bring a lot more sense into it. So, if you have heard the characters that I voice in the fandubs, you might understand that there's some explanation for them though. For example, Mavis, who was the newest member of the Lifelights, is a goddess, and her voice type is like a goddess full of wisdom and charisma. The Magic Knights actually have a different type of voice that I try to use, just to adjust my vocal cords. Hikaru and Umi's voice is actually like a happy-go-lucky, go-getter type of girl that is always fired up and is ready to take on anything. As for Fu, I actually try to make my voice sound a little bit high just to make sure my vocal cords get more stretched out and more like tomboyish, premature ladylike. When it comes to Romeo Combo, I try to make sure that my vocal cords match his voice. Like, I deepen my voice a little bit and make it sound like a preteen boy that is tough and is full of strength. It also goes for Hero from Fruits Basket. I try to match Lucy Christian Bell's voice just by listening to the original audio of the video, and I tried my best to mimic it. Kisa, on the other hand, is the timid and shy type, so I try to give my best voice similar to Fluttershy, just to try to match Kisa. However, there is a little bit of pitch and range difference with characters and their transformations. For example, Pludia's transformation alter ego is Iris Heart, and when transformed, I actually changed the pitch of my voice just to sound like a premature adult woman, just for Iris Heart, because in the original, she sounded like a premature woman. Same goes for Vert or Greenheart, which is her counterpart. I actually try to make sure I could match the pitch and range of tone, just so I could make sure that the original character's voice matches the voice I try to make. When voicing Roka, I actually try to match Yukari Tanizaki's voice, which is ironic because Lucy Christian Bell did Roka and Yukari Tanizaki, and so I usually try to make sure that I could match their voices correctly, and sometimes I just use a Valley Girl phase. Most of that is done by Kami, and I actually try to watch the original My Hero Academia clips to match Kami's voice. Sometimes if it's two characters in different forms, the accent is different. For example, Carla, who is in cat form, speaks a British accent, and as for her human form, she speaks an American accent. So I tried to make sure I could match the accent with my voice clearly, just because if you can tell by the expressions on the pictures. I even tried my best to give my high-pitched robotic chibi robo voice to some characters that are robots, like Alpha 5 and Haro. For Pikachu Popstar, I use like a female pop star-like voice just to match the outfit and the appearance that this Pikachu is wearing. For Pikachu PhD, she is a PhD, or a physical doctor, and I actually try to give off my best healthcare worker or nurse voice to this Pikachu because I also wanted to match its connections to a medical environment. For Lacus, I actually just wanted to match her English dub voice from the Ocean dub, so she sounded like a pop singing superstar that was full of wisdom and kindness. And I think I'm actually gonna try to match her voice like Usagi's. Now Happy, I try to make sure that his voice is more cheerful and energetic. It's just so that you can tell by its personality. And not to mention that when I had voiced Happy, Sophie, my main coon, sat down and listened to every word I read in the scripts so I could voice as Happy. Toad is pretty much a tough one, so I actually try to match the original voice by making my voice high-pitched and scratchy, just like the Toads from the modern Super Mario Bros. Series. And sometimes my mom just gets irritated by it and she thinks I am screeching at myself. And I try to tell her that it's nothing wrong, seriously. Nejiri Hado is the type that is always hyperactive and full of energy. So I try to match her original voice by watching the My Hero One's Justice 2 clips of her, just so that it would actually just match perfectly. Rika Furude is like the cheerful personality type and the wise type of the Life Lights. So I try my best to change the tone of voice depending on the personality. Hanyu also has personalities as well due to voice. Sometimes if it's cheerful or normal, it's high-pitched, but when she's in goddess mode, it becomes deep-voiced and serious. Rena is the over-energetic type of the Life Lights, and I try to match her voice carefully. And sometimes I watch the clips of her just being all cute, and sometimes even going into psycho mode, and I try to match her voice. For Nico Robin, I make her sound like a professional young adult who is interested in archaeology. Kotoko, on the other hand, actually was sounding like a personal user on computers and a professional internet geek and a smart, relying female. I know Manatsu looks like Hatsune Miku, but I actually try to match her voice to be like a fun-loving musician and an easygoing type of woman that always is ready for creativity. I usually make Sarasa more like a responsible young adult who is always independent, and sometimes she is always easygoing and tends to overreact to things. I always wanted to make sure I could make the voice pitch look similar to Rei because she is hot-blooded and has a fiery personality because evil beware. In the name of fire and Mars, she'll punish you. As for Makoto, I actually make her sound like she's an intelligent woman who has a fear of flying, but sometimes she is always calm and trustworthy and caring to her friends. As for Ochako, I match my voice to make it sound like that she is also full of energy and a super ball. Just like that she is very athletic. Kendo's voice type is more of a tomboyish type, so I try to make it look similar to Misty. Machi at first is a shy and cowardly person, but in the recent episode of the Life Lights, she became overly confident and she came out of her shell, and she is now the personality of motivation. For Eri, she sounds like a little girl, so I actually try to make my voice sound like a little girl just by pressing my vocal cords in a different manner. For Julia, I make her voice sound like a person who is always interested in nature and always ready for action. For La Pucelle, I actually make her voice sound like she's independent and is always ready to take challenges alone. For Ruler's voice, I try to make it sound royally, like Queen Bee or some type of highness personality. And because of it, I also make her voice sound like that she does care about her friends, even during tough matters. I make Sister Nana's voice high-pitched, and sometimes it's a really sweet type of voice because she is caring and kind, and she always listens to others any time of need. When I voice Wendy, I usually make my voice sound like a high-spirited girl who is always ready to tackle any challenge, even if it involves fighting. As for Ripple, I sometimes match her voice comparing it to Lucina for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and sometimes I make sure that she sounds like a girl who's always on the tough side. Snow White is the most gentle girl of the Life Lights, and her personality voice is the sweetest and most endearing, and nobody could even hate a person like that. Kelsey's voice and personality is hot-blooded and on fire, so that's why I try to make her match like a professional athlete's voice. Lily's personality is timid and clumsy, but sometimes friendly, and I match that personality voice, and I even make sure that I also include Lily, just pointing out that she was always ready to tackle any challenge. Now, Chloe is the type of girl who has a personality that is full of beauty, compassion, and kindness. And she even gives off good advice. I make Hannon's voice sound like a cheerful girl who is always ready to do anything that a person asks her to do. I even make Rena sound like a dependable woman. Coco is the energetic type, Karen is the calm type, and the compassionate type is Noelle. For Oichi, she has a personality that has a pure heart of gold, and her voice actually matches a woman who is always ready to accomplish new goals. Amu Hitamori's personality is cool and spicy, so I try to match the voice to the personalities as best as I can. Otoka's personality is a mean girl cliche type of voice. Alala is most likely a fairy who has a insane, drunken female type of personality. And the Black Beauty Sisters' personalities are very evil, vicious, and dastardly, so I tried my best to match their voices carefully. And last but not least, we have Kimi Toto. I make her personality cheerful and joyful, just because that she is always like that in her personality, and sometimes she is full of fighting spirit. There you have it. Those are the characters that I voice in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Cross Tokyo Mew Mew Power and Gabe Wambala's fanfictions and our fan dubs. So, if you're watching this, please make sure to look forward to the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Cross Tokyo Mew Mew Power new movie fan dub. We hope you enjoy it.